questions about Christmas?
Why did Jesus sleep in stable?
The great Augustus, Emperor of Rome, wished to know just how many subjects he had and how much tax he could hope to collect. He ordered a numbering of everyone in his empire. Every Jewish man had to report to his hometown to see that his name was added to the roll. News of the census reached Nazareth not long before the time when Mary's baby was due to be born. Joseph would have to make the journey south to Bethlehem to put his name on the Roman register. He decided to take his young wife Mary with him, rather than leaving her alone in Nazareth. The journey took nearly a week. In the daytime they walked, at night they slept in the open. How glad were they when they came to Bethlehem, surrounded by the peaceful fields. The inn would be a rough place, they knew, but there would be no comfort, just a bare room to sleep in. At least it would provide shelter for Mary that night. But when they arrived, the inn was full. There was no possible space for two more weary people to lie down. Someone noticed their tired, disappointed faces and realized that Mary's baby would soon be born. He offered Joseph a stable where he usually kept his animals. It was a dirty, smelly place. Joseph cleared a space and cleaned it the best he could. Then in the dimness, among the smells and the dirt, Mary forgot about everything else as she gazed with joy at that tiny baby boy. "We shall call him Jesus," Joseph said as the angel had told him. "He is the one God has sent to save us." Mary wrapped the baby up with long strips of cloth to keep him warm. They had no cradle, so Joseph laid him to sleep in the manger, the feeding trough for the animals' hay.
How did the shepherds know baby Jesus had been born?
For the shepherds in the fields around Bethlehem, that night began like any other night. They must take good care of their sheep because soon they would be sold in the nearby capital of Jerusalem. There they would be bought as offerings to God at the beautiful temple. They had to be in perfect condition with no scratched ears or torn legs. As the shepherds kept guard, warming themselves at the fire, they told stories to wave away the time and keep themselves awake. Suddenly, the quiet night sky was a blaze of light and the glorious shining figure. "Don't be afraid. I have come with good news for you. It will bring joy to the whole world. This very day a baby was born in Bethlehem. He is Christ the Lord. Go and see him for yourselves. They will find him tightly wrapped and lying in a manger." At once the whole sky came alive with angels, and the air was filled with their singing. They poured out a hymn of praise and thankfulness to God. "Glory to God in the highest," they sang. "Peace on earth to those with whom God is pleased." Then, as suddenly as they had come, the angels disappeared. Slowly the sky sank back into darkness and silence. The shepherds looked at one another, scarcely able to believe that they had not been dreaming. "Come on," they said. Let's go and find out if it's true." They raced across the fields toward the sleeping town. When they found Joseph and Mary and saw the baby lying in the manger, they fell on their knees and worshipped him. Then they told Joseph and Mary all that had happened and the message that the angel had brought to them. Mary said nothing, but she thought hard about the wonderful things that had been said about her little son. As the shepherds hurried back to their sheep, they could not help bursting out singing too, in praise of God. Everything had turned out just as the angel had said.
Where did the wise men come from? It was not only the Jews who were looking for a great king promised by God. Tales of a coming king had spread far and wide. Wise men in distant lands waited for one to be born, who would rule the world in justice and peace. At the time when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, some wise men discovered a star in the sky that shone with special brightness. Such a star must be a sign that a great king had been born. Quickly they packed up provisions for a long journey and taking with them rich gifts suitable for a king. At a palace in Jerusalem, Herod reigned as king. He was madly jealous of any who might try to take his throne. When news reached him that wealthy strangers had arrived inquiring for a new king, he was alert at once. He knew too about the Bible's prophecies of a coming Messiah and sent for the strangers to a meeting. "Go to Bethlehem," he advised them, "where the Messiah is to be born. Come back and tell me exactly where he is, for I shall want to visit him too." Night fell as the wise men set off towards Bethlehem. As they journeyed, their own special star came into sight once more. How excited they were! God was surely guiding them to the king.
When the wise men arrived to see the baby, they were surprised to see that there were no rich tapestries or expensive hangings on the walls. There were no servants to wait on the mother to take care of the baby. All they could see in the dim light was a simple peasant girl feeding her little son. But they did not doubt for one moment that they had found the long-promised king. They knelt low. They knew that someone far greater than they lay sleeping in his mother's arms. Soon they brought their gifts out. There was gold, a gift fit for a king. There was frankincense, a sweet-smelling incense offered in worship. Last came the gift of myrrh. Mary thought this was strange, for myrrh was spice used in burying the dead. Now that they had found the king, the visitors were satisfied. They would begin the long trek home. But that night, as they were sleeping, God warned them not to return to King Herod. The next morning, they set off by another route to their own land. Please join us in singing Away in a Manger.